And welcome to Wide Right College Football Week 4 Recap Show. Man, do we have some doozies for you today. Our first panelist, he's a beast from the East. He's the assistant to the president of the Doug Flutie fan club. His picks are so great that we call him a lock. Please welcome to the show, Lead Pipe Lindsay. Lindsay, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Good.
We'll be joined shortly by our good buddy, cool Jude Santa Cruz, and then maybe Joey Picks might show up too. I'm your host, Coach Cass, coming to you from the wing of moderate achievement in the Youth Football Hall of Fame. It's mediocre achievement.
That's a feather in your cup.
So we're going to sit and just kind of shoot the breeze for a second. Say hi to everybody in the chat. Say hi to Pat Paulson. Pat, how you doing? Say hi to Jude Santa Cruz, who is not here currently. Oh, wait. Hold on. Our next panelist. Let me find my introduction sheet here. Covers the West Coast like no other. He's a lifetime fan of the Trojans. That's USC it is. He is cool Jude Santa Cruz. Jude, what's going on?
Right on. We're down 7-0, but we're going to come back. We got the ball. How's everyone doing today? Lindsay, Cass, what's going on?
How are you?
I'm doing well. I am currently in my car at the parking lot of a grocery store. We're on our way home from another birthday party, but I should be home in 10-15 minutes, and then as soon as I get home, I'll jump on for sure for the rest of the stream. But I'm here for a few minutes while my wife's in the store.
All right, well, cool. So here's the deal: when you come back, you're going to be in charge of answering all the comments.
All right.
So that's what happens. Since you can't show up late and bring us, breakfast taquitos, you got to be the guy that answers the comments. So
sounds good to me. Especially, man, if we're gonna. Well, I could probably handle it because even if we doubled from last week, that'll put us around 14 or 12 or 15. I think I can handle comments.
Dude, we're at 4 right now. I think you're going to be okay.
All right, there we go. We're going to build some steam. We're going to get there. I did send the link to Joey. I don't know. He's probably watching, but I don't know what's going on. Did you talk to him?
No, not since last night. But so let's just start off with our top 25. Let's just start at the bottom, work our way to the top. Let's talk about number 25, Miami. So
number 25, no more.
Sounds like Sebastian the Ibis didn't show up today. They lost to Middle Tennessee State, and it wasn't close. So I had to catch the Cliffs Notes version of this game, but evidently they lost in a not so great fashion. So
yeah, last I saw they were down 14. Middle Tennessee State kind of dominated them.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. Lindsay, what do you think?
Yeah, that was the final score was by 14, 45-31. And hey, wouldn't you know, I picked Middle Tennessee to win 42-35.
Did you really?
I did. That was my pick.
Did we write this thing down? Hold on a second. I got to go look at this.
I got it sent to you. That was in your email.
It was in my email.
Yeah, when we did the Wednesday night.
I'm going to have to take your word for it. What the hell are you doing? Who did you pay to get these picks?
You may call me the Gridiron Guru.
Pat calls you Lindsay the Greek. So we're going to call you Lindsay the Greek.
Well, Pat, I would never recommend that anyone place bets based on my predictions, but the last couple of weeks you'd be doing okay for yourself because this week I've actually been doing better than I thought too. So it was all Middle Tennessee, like Cass said. Total yards, passing yards, rushing yards, yards per play. Everything was stacked to Middle Tennessee's favor in this one. The only advantage that Miami had was first downs, but it really didn't matter. It was all Middle Tennessee all game long. And they came out of the block 17-3 at the end of the first quarter, and they never looked back. It was a terrific display from Middle Tennessee today. Miami just didn't show up like they should have. Now, granted, they still scored 31 points, but this is college football, and 31 points is no guarantee of winning anything.
Nope.
It should be, but it's not. All right. So, I am looking. I don't know. I can't find Pitt's. Did Pitt play this weekend? I feel like I should know this.
I believe they won on who did they play?
Thursday? They played Thursday, didn't they?
I think so.
Yeah, they played Rhode Island.
That's right, Rhode Island.
No, that was
Yes,
today.
and they won
45-24.
So, I mean, you want to think that Rhode Island, you should beat 45-0. 45-24? Kind of a little too close for comfort there, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I'm surprised they gave up that many points to Rhode Island, but they did.
Yep. Well, nobody here is a Pitt fan, so we're just going to move on to the next team. Let's get to number 23.
I am a fan of their quarterback.
Well, sorry. So we don't even know. Why don't I have stats on them today? It's all right. They won the game. That's all we need to know. We'll cover it later. So let's get to number 23, Texas A&M. They played somebody today. I don't know who
I heard that was one of the games we picked games to watch, right?
That was my
yes, it was.
That was my game to watch. It was also my upset of the week. I picked A&M over Arkansas.
I'm telling you, Lindsey the Greek. I mean, Lindsey the Greek was lead pipe Lindsey today.
Did that game go final?
Yeah.
Yep, it's final. Texas A&M 23, Arkansas 21.
Woo!
The Arkansas kicker, he shanked it off the top of the goalpost.
Oh,
so
no.
I watched some of that. So Anaya Smith got injured in that game.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate Anaya Smith got injured in the game, but A&M, man, Devin A-Chain was off the chain. He was so good. He ran, and with the change of quarterback, having Max Johnson instead of Haynes King, it looked like the team just had an extra step, and they were really, really firing off. It was a really good game. I really liked watching it. And Arkansas, for all intents and purposes, did well. I mean, KJ Jefferson led his team up and down the field. I mean, they were really potent offense. They just had to rely on the kicking game there at the end, and it just let them down. So, unfortunately, Arkansas goes down, but lead pipe Lindsey, he's still winning. I'm not going against this guy anytime soon.
No, any game where A&M can rattle off 23 unanswered points after being down 14-0, they've got a very potent offense. A-Chain was a ton of fun to watch, and I love the fact that they were taking shots downfield. They were fearless, and I love watching them play this. Not at all conservative, very aggressive game.
It was definitely, if you watched the Miami game last week, you watched this game this week, it's two different teams. I mean, Texas A&M was a completely different team. I mean, it wasn't even the fact that, they would look completely different. So I'll give them that. Texas A&M looked great. Arkansas looked good too. I mean, it's unfortunate this is a loser in that game, but that's how it plays out. There's winners and losers. So Lindsey, definitely a big winner. We'll get to the number 22 Texas Longhorns. They played the unranked Texas Tech Red Raiders and the officials.
Yep.
Yeah, he's like, yep.
Hey, so
look at that smug look. He's like, yep.
So I will say this: Texas played two teams today. They played Texas Tech and the officials. So it's unfortunate when the officials have to make themselves the biggest part of the game.
It is.
And there was plenty of times that holding and blocks in the backs weren't called, and it was apparent. And it just happens. You show up, you're supposed to win the game, right? I mean, you show up to win the game no matter what happens. I just really felt like every time momentum was going in Texas' favor, the referees would bring Texas Tech back into it. At the end of the day, I am a Texas fan, but I'm also realistic. It's football; it happens. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. So,
no, and all that notwithstanding, certainly the officials absolutely play a role in the outcome of games. There's no doubt about that, especially if the game is close. But if you're Bijan Robinson, man, you got to hang on to the ball. Sorry, that's it. You can't put that thing on the ground, and he did.
Yeah, I mean, so you got to look at it like this too, though. He's your best player, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like nobody's going to argue any differently. You give the ball to your best player in overtime, and if he makes a mistake, then that's just how the cookie crumbles. I mean, like you went out and you put your best foot forward, and it just didn't happen. and that's football. That's what happens. I mean, like I coached football for 12 years. I will tell you this: I have lost plenty of games off of what it felt like one play, but it was a combination of plays, right? It wasn't just one play, one player. It didn't make the game, but you want to feel like it did. But it happens, and you just move on. That's it. It's unfortunate, but there's still a lot of football season left, and there's a lot to play for. So you definitely, if you're the coach of Texas tonight, you're talking to your guys. You're like, hey, there's just still plenty of football to play. There's
lots to play for, Texas. Come on, let's try to make the Holiday Bowl.
The Holiday Bowl. All right, so enough of Jude and Lindsay chastising me. Let's move on to number 21. Would anybody like to guess who number 21 is?
Wake Forest and Clemson.
Yeah, that was a good game. A game to watch too. And that was probably the game of the day right there.
I would say if you like offense, if you like defense, that was not a game to watch.
No, there was.
Man, Hartman absolutely played his heart out, man. I feel bad for. I think he threw 6 touchdown passes in that loss.
I think he was 20 of 29 with 6 touchdown passes. And when you watched him play, he definitely looked like the best player on the field. I mean, hands down, just his ability to read the defense. He made a really good Clemson defense look really, really bad. And it wasn't, because they had bad players. It's because he was just that good. I got to give my hat off to DJU. DJU looked like a real deal quarterback today.
Yeah,
he looked like the guy that he was recruited to be. And congratulations to him on just an outstanding game. He did such a fantastic job today. And he led his team. I mean, he just looked unbelievable. When he took off running, I mean, he was there. He looked like a real deal game day, tried and true quarterback. So congratulations to Clemson. Wake Forest, don't let this hang over too long because you got a lot to play for as well. So, but great game. Lindsay,
it's a ton of fun to watch an offensive shootout. This game was a ball to watch. I think Hartman has a great future as competing with Jimmy Garoppolo as most handsome NFL quarterback if he goes that far.
I think we did pretty good today with just picking the game of the week. We actually, our minds met on Wednesday, and we decided that this was going to be the game of the week, and we thought that it would be the game of the week. By golly, it was.
It was. That and the A&M, both outstanding games.
Yeah, no, can't be disappointed with either one of those. You'd be disappointed if you're a fan of defense because you didn't see any today, especially in that game. But, I mean, could you go wrong? I mean, that was a great game to watch.
Yeah.
Lead Pipe Lindsay, did you strike again on that one? What was your pick on that game?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Got that one too.
Let me pull it up here. Lindsay put what did Lindsay have? What was his score on this game? I got to see how great.
I wasn't. I picked Clemson to get 45. I mean, I picked Clemson to win 45 to. I underestimated Wake Forest, and how many points they could put on the board. But
I think I had Wake Forest in overtime, but oh well.
Yeah, you did.
I mean, just the fact that they went to overtime was pretty amazing. So.
And if I'm not mistaken, Jude, you also had Arkansas, did you not?
Yes, I did.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're just not going to go over any Jude's picks, okay? We're just going to let those go.
And Jude, we're going to get to another.
You're a hell of a nice guy, but Jude, you're a hell of a nice guy, but damn. You suck at picking college football games. Stop agreeing with me. Kidding, Jude. Jude, you're doing great. But all right, so let's go over to another exciting game, and this is number 20 Florida at number 11 Tennessee. And wow, was there some good gameplay played today in that game? Hayden Hooker looked amazing. Florida looked amazing too. They came back. There was no fight, or there was no quitting. I think they were all in the whole game. Lindsay, break down for me. What do you think about today's Florida versus Tennessee game?
It was another exciting game. It was another one absolutely worth watching. It felt so different from last week where, I mean, you just couldn't find a fun game to watch. This week, you could not go wrong. And when you see teams like this that just duke it out all game long, they were dead even in total yards, dead even in yards per play. Tennessee had the advantage on the ground game, but the Gators had it in the air, and it just shook out in Tennessee's favor. And I think that when you see two evenly matched teams like this play, it's a ton of fun. And the Tennessee Volunteers are still undefeated, so they're 4-0 right now. The Gators are now 2-2, and going forward, it'll be a lot of fun to see how Tennessee continues to roll because they've looked very good through the first 4 games.
In the last 15 years, I was looking at this stat earlier. Tennessee's their main rivals, Georgia, Florida, and Arkansas. I'm sorry, Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. I think since about the time Philip Fulmer was getting ready to leave Tennessee, they had only had 3 wins. They were like 3-41 or something like that, or 3-42, and now they beat Tennessee. They beat Florida, so that's a start. They're probably going to crack the top 10 this week. They were number 11, but I don't know. They might have been I think they were number 11, but I just don't see them beating Alabama or Georgia. Their defenses are too good. But man, Tennessee's got one of the best air attacks, air raid offense, and they're a fun team to watch. So I'm really looking forward to watching some of their games the rest of the year.
Yep, it's good. It's a good game. Right now, we got number 19 BYU playing an unranked but proven opponent in Wyoming. Would anybody like to get? So, if y'all aren't looking at the scores right now, I'm going to tell you what the score is. But anybody like to gather what the score is?
The way you said it, I'm guessing number 19 BYU isn't doing too well.
I don't know.
Early in the
commercial right now. I'm at commercial. Yeah, they just started. So
they only have 8 minutes.
We'll check.
They're 7 minutes into the first quarter. So
okay.
Well, let's check back in on that. I'm going to call timeout right now, guys. All right, let's talk about something real quick. Timeout. All right, coach is calling timeout here. So let's talk about our giveaway. This is our 500 subscriber giveaway. We have to get to 500 subs by the night of the Heisman. Okay. So when we get to the 500 subs, we're going to go. You're going to have to. So there's one more rule I have to add to this one because I had to think about it. And just for fairness sakes, you have to be a subscriber of the channel to win the prize. All right. So you'll get 500 subs, night of the Heisman. We're going to make a video the morning of the Heisman. You got to go and watch that video and comment and like that video. And then what we'll do is we'll take a comment generator or likeness generator or whatever it takes, and it'll pick a winner from there. But that video will come out the morning of the Heisman. We're going to film it in advance. We'll display that video. Then you have to do that. So what you'll win is you'll win 2 of the Wide Right CFB shirts of your choice, size of your choice. His and hers, hers and hers, his and his, them and them. I don't know. Whatever your pronouns are. Fee, fi, fo, fum. I'm not sure. But you'll win that. You'll win a football autographed by the entire Wide Right CFB crew. And you're not going to win not $50 at Buffalo Wild Wings. You're going to win a $100 gift card to Buffalo Wild Wings. Now, if you don't have Buffalo Wild Wings in your town, that's just too bad. You're going to have to go to one that has one. So that's the prize. Gentlemen, what do y'all think about the price? What do y'all think about this?
You got to be silly not to get involved with prizes like this on the line.
Yeah, I think that's awesome for someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not eligible, by the way, Jude.
I know. I understand that.
I'll make my own little buffalo wings.
Buffalo wing. Lindsay, here's a girl. Well, I'll come over. We'll have wings at your house.
Okay.
But that's our 500. So we have a lot of work to do. So we have roughly
ginger.
We have 8 weeks. And right now, what's our sub count right now? Let me check our
26
sub count. We have 26 subscribers. So we only need 474 more.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, but see, I think once you hit 100, you go, it just doubles like by the day. And then before you know it, by the end of the week, you're at 6 million.
That's pretty much how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to somebody at YouTube, and they're like, I talked to Jimmy at YouTube, and he was like, hey, yeah, you're looking good. Just do this a couple more times, and boom.
Yeah.
Well, zing it, you're there. So.
All right, guys, I'm going to cut off my phone and jump on my computer. Give me a minute.
Okay, you know the deal. You have to be the chat
I got you.
master. All right.
Gotcha.
We'll see you in a second, Jude.
Yep.
All right. So, with that said, that's a pretty good price pack. Whether or not we get there, I don't know. So, we'll see what
It's a good
happens.
goal.
So, yep, I'm excited. Oh, thanks, Diabolical, for sharing that on your community page. Appreciate that. So, we'll see what happens. They got to get there first. All right, so Pat Paulson was talking about Stanford at Washington, this game he was watching. He said it'll be fun watching Stanford lose tonight. So I'll just say this. I don't know, but we'll tune in. We'll switch over here in just a second. Right now, Wyoming's leading BYU 3-0.
Yeah, and Stanford's game just kicked off with Washington. They're 3 minutes in, so plenty of developments to still unfold. For us.
Our next panelist, he covers the West Coast like no other. He's a lifetime fan of the Trojans. That's USC, I mean. Welcome to the stream. Cool, Jude Santa Cruz.
Again.
Intros in one night. That's awesome.
Jude, you're so cool that I had to intro you twice. So.
There we go. I like it.
All right, so we just got done talking about our 500 subscriber giveaway. I see that Jude's watching the stream as well because we have 6 watchers now. Let's get back to, we just talked about number 19 BYU, number 18 Washington. No, not Washington. Yeah, number 18 Washington. Sorry. Excuse me on that. We're going to move back into the top 15. If I can find my notes on the right page here. Number 17. I don't know who number 17 is. This is not a good night for the show. I'm just a little bit off tonight, guys. I'm sorry. Baylor. Oh, yes. Here we go. Here's a game. If you like good games, I think this game ended up being pretty good. I didn't see a second of it, but I had to get the Cliff Notes version for my son. We all know from Wednesday's stream that my son does know a thing or two about a thing or two. So Baylor and Iowa State looked like it was a slugfest. It looked exactly like two, hard-nosed football coaches going head-to-head. Jude, what was your thought on Baylor versus Iowa State?
I thought it was going to be a bigger win than it was. Man, Iowa State played them great, man. And Lindsay said it earlier. Today, you could almost pick any game, throw it on, and you were going to get a fun football game to watch. So the highlights that I watched them, I didn't watch the game. Like I said, I had a lot of things going on today. I've been studying my computer, but from what I could tell is that it was a pretty decent ball game.
Lindsay, what were your thoughts on number 17?
Well, Baylor brought the running game with them. Baylor brought the running game, and the difference in this game was the yards on the ground and turnovers. And when Iowa State is going to turn the ball over twice on interceptions, and Baylor's not, and Baylor's going to bring more than twice the running yards that I was going to bring, that's a win in their column, and it was well played on Baylor's part. Again, it was a good, fairly close game. It was separated by a touchdown, and that in my book is a fun game to watch. So this was another good one.
Yep. All right, let's move on to number 16, Ole Miss, hosting Tulsa. So Tulsa looked like they did a pretty good job today. They hung in there. It was 35-27 was the final score. It was another game I got to watch. Jude, I know you're a huge Lane Train fan. Let me hear what you think.
Mississippi, Ole Miss, they did what they needed to win. Got to work on their defense. I didn't expect them to have it be as close as it was. And the score is a little bit misleading. I don't think it was ever really in doubt, but still, when you're trying to crack the top 10, if you want a shot at them, well, obviously, if they just win their conference, they'll get being in the SEC, they'll probably get a berth in the playoff, even if they just finish second in their conference. But you want to impress the voters, Ben, just in case you do have that one loss. You need to impress the voters in the rest of your games. So, they did what they needed to do to win, but I think they could have won by more, and they should have probably won by more.
What do you think, Lindsay? Ole Miss, Tulsa.
I think the way both
teams. Did you pick this game too? Did you pick this game?
I did not pick this game, no. Yeah. This is not on my list. It was very evenly played, though, and the game was practically split right down the middle. When you look at every metric by how you'd measure a team's productivity, it was dead even except the score at the end. and separating it by just 8 points. Again, nice close game, and the way two closely matched teams are going to duke it out makes for an exciting day. And this is one of these games where if they play it again tomorrow, the outcome might be entirely different. I think that's what you get when you get these really close teams that bring their A games with them.
I think the only question that America has right now, Lindsay, is if they were playing tomorrow, who would you take?
In a completely hypothetical setting.
Telling you, folks, he is a lead pipe lock. He is right now. I think he's 9-1 right now, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
8-1. 8-1. I think 8-1. I think we're waiting on another game to play right now.
One thing about that game, the Mississippi running back, I think his last name is Judkins. He was a hoss today. I think he got like almost 30 carries. You don't see that very much in college football. There's not so much passing, but yeah, man, he certainly carried the ball a ton. Got a bunch of yards, a couple of touchdowns. And Jackson Dart, he threw a couple of touchdowns. He threw for a bunch of yards this game, but they played well.
All right, let's move on to like Lindsay and Judah both been saying, just another fantastic game. Number 15 Oregon was at Washington State, and Washington State led all but probably the last couple minutes of the game till Oregon came by them, and it was like watching two race cars going down the track, and Washington State got out a huge lead, and then late there comes Oregon just coming right past them at the very end. So
which
it
of us
looked like a fantastic game, and it looked like turnovers hurt Washington because they had a turnover touchdown, and I think it really kind of hurt Washington State. But Washington State is a good team. They look like a real deal good team.
Which of us chose
your
Washington
conference,
State?
Pac-12, this is your conference. What do you think? Washington State almost upsets Oregon.
I'm not surprised. I think I picked Washington State. That was one of my games this week. But being close doesn't really count. We're not playing horseshoes, or we're not tossing horseshoes or hand grenades. So being close isn't going to do nothing for me, man. I'm losing money, and Lindsay's racking it up. So I just got to go with Lindsay. Lindsay, I know the game was a little closer than you thought, but once again, I think you did pick Oregon.
I did. I was getting worried late in the game, but then they pulled it out. And to Cass's point, just the difference was a turnover, and Oregon had a better running game.
You didn't get the score. You didn't pick the score very accurately.
No, I was way off on the score, but I picked the winner.
Well, one thing I'll tell you, when you're going into the fourth quarter, it's like 27 to, I think it was 15 or something like that. You're up 12 going into the fourth quarter, and you score 14 points in the fourth quarter. You don't expect to lose.
Every other day of the week, that's a win. But they gave up 29 points in the fourth quarter to Oregon. So the defense was taking a nap for the last quarter of the game.
Well, I'll just say, like I always say, the team that scores the most points always wins the game.
Indeed.
He does always say that.
I think turnovers were the biggest key in this game. Turnovers late, inopportune turnovers is what really set Oregon ahead of Washington. Let's move on to number 14, Penn State hosting Central Michigan Chippewas. And it was 33-14. It's a little closer than you want to see. And I know that this game was tight through the first half. I know that Central Michigan kept it close. But, it's that time-proven point. Penn State's 1s and 2s were able to just overwhelm Central Michigan. So they ended up beating them down by a fair margin late, from the second half on. So
yeah, they shut them out.
Adjustments. Like some people call it a second half adjustment. I really think it's like the second half athletes show up. You know what I mean? So,
that's exactly what it is, man. The Penn State and Central Michigan. Central Michigan had enough players to hang with them and play them tough. But by the time you get into the third and fourth quarter, Penn State, their 2s and 3s are probably great players. Where Central Michigan, their subs, as they're making adjustments and people are getting tired or injuries or whatever, they don't have what it takes to hang with a team like Penn State. And I think they shut them out. Penn State shut them out in the second half.
Yeah,
in the first quarter.
They just can't play. So.
All the Central Michigan scoring was done in the second quarter, and they gave the game away on turnovers. 2 fumbles lost, 2 interceptions thrown, and Penn State had no turnovers at all. So it was a mismatch, I think, and certainly they were just when you're shut out for 3 of the 4 quarters that you play, it's really a mismatch from the get-go.
All right, well, let's move on to number 13, Utah at Arizona State. Now, Arizona State's had a pretty rough week. The coach got canned on Sunday. Actually, got canned on Saturday night on the field. But they're playing right now against Utah, and Utah is showing them no mercy. Utah's up 7-0 right now, and they are driving. We're still in the middle of the first quarter, and this game could get really ugly really quick. And there's all kinds of rumors going around Arizona State's program about that staffers were tipping off coaches of opponents saying that, Herm Edwards is going to be gone or this is what we're doing. So it was a rough week. Lindsay,
We'll see if Arizona can turn it around, but right now they're at a net loss in total yardage for the game. So we'll see if they can get it together.
This is a really game Utah team, too. They're not going to be, this is not going to be a good game for Arizona State. No. Jude, what do you think about this Arizona State game?
The way I'm looking at it, and Arizona State, it's 7-0, but it's probably going to be 70-0 by the time the game's over. Arizona State might score a little bit, but it doesn't look good. Utah's going to boat race them, and Arizona State, they've got, besides getting rid of their coach, they've got the scandals that are going on. It's just a whole bunch of stuff going on with them right now.
Yep. All right. So let's move closer to that top 10. And if I can pull it up and find out who number 12 is. Hey, look at who we got in the chat. We have Raging Cajun Garage in the chat. He finally got the Silverado done. Final video will drop tomorrow on it. Everybody, let's give a round of applause for Raging Cajun.
Well
Doing
done.
an awesome job. Awesome job. It's a great follow. Everybody go follow him over at Raging Cajun Garage. He's a good guy. He went and he did a pretty good job, he didn't do a pretty good job. He did a damn good job. So everybody go and give his videos a watch, give him a like, a thumbs up, leave a comment, because he, like I said, he did a great job. All right, so we need to find this number 12 team. Who's the number 12 team, Lindsay? Help me out.
North Carolina State.
North Carolina State. And I don't think they played today, did they?
The Wolfpack played the Huskies.
They passed for UConn. I think it was like
that's why I couldn't find it. 41-10. 41-10. Yep. So.
Yep, this one was a locker from the get-go. It was all Wolfpack. The Huskies didn't stand a chance, which is too bad because they have a really cool logo. So I was rooting for them for that reason alone. But
they're from Connecticut. Connecticut's not known as a football.
It's not. It's the Northeast. The whole Northeast is not a good area for football. But this was all NC State. It wasn't even close from the jump. NC State started with a 17-0 lead at the end of the first quarter and just kept rolling with another 14 points in the second quarter. By the end of the half, Connecticut only had a field goal under their belt, and they never got in the game on this one.
All right, we covered number 11, Tennessee's big win at Florida earlier. We also covered number 10, Arkansas's loss to Texas A&M earlier. We're going to creep into the top 10 here, folks. Drum roll. Can we get a drum roll? All right. Number 9, Oklahoma State Cowboys. They were off this week. They were idle. So I do believe that we will have a new number 9 team this week, and I believe it will be the Tennessee Volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Oklahoma State will be number 10. We can talk about that a little bit later. Let's move on to number 8, Kentucky, surviving the Huskies. Here's the Huskies again from Northern Illinois. So this game, my son and I actually watched a little bit of this game towards the end, and Northern Illinois was not an easy out. This was a pretty tough game for Kentucky, and Will Levis just looked very pedestrian in this game. I was not overly impressed. Kentucky,
I think his
may have overlooked. Go ahead.
No, I think you were talking about the quarterback Levis. his numbers at the end of the game, 303 yards, 4 touchdowns. They look good, but I think it was probably more because of his receiver Robinson. Man, that dude was balling out, and he made some pedestrian bad passes look like it turned into some big plays from the highlights I was watching. And that dude had a big game. He had 2 touchdowns, 147 yards receiving. But yeah, the quarterback, even though his numbers look good, like you said, he looked pedestrian. In Northern Illinois, man, I was surprised. They were only 1-2 coming into the game. Now they're 1-3, but man, they played their hearts out.
Definitely played well. So that was a good game. Lindsay, what do you think about your Huskies here?
Well, it's great when you can see such an evenly matched game in the first half. Second half was a bit of a different story, but it was a good rock'em sock'em game in the first half. A lot of defense. Everyone's only given up a couple of touchdowns. It wasn't a lopsided affair until the third quarter started, and it all went the way of the Wildcats. So I think that I was surprised that they didn't have more offense. The Wildcats did, and that they were only limited to 31 points.
All right, now we're moving into a game that's currently on, and one of our panelists has a little something invested in this game. Jude, tell us what's going on between number 7 USC and those pesky Beavers from Oregon State.
Well, I'm watching that here on the side in my sidebar, and Oregon State's defense is playing well. Yes, he missed the field goal on their first drive. They got picked up a field goal later on, and it was honestly blowing my mind with these two teams. It's a defensive game right now, 7-3 Oregon State. I'm hoping when the second half comes around that like we talked about earlier, with Penn State, that our athletes are just too much to handle, and we start to pull away. But yeah, right now Oregon State's looking good.
Yep.
I didn't have the heart to make this game one of my picks this week because I was going to pick Oregon State. So I decided not to.
That was a pity non-pick.
So I'm just gonna let this one ride. We'll see how it comes out.
Lindsay speaks of your team's name and they lose. Jude, you need to tell Lindsay don't talk about USC at all. All right. Let's get to another game that's currently in progress. And wow, number 6, Oklahoma is down late to number unranked Kansas State. A Kansas State team that lost to Tulane. Right? Kansas State team that looked bad against Tulane. This is a big shocker. Once again, here we go again. This is one of those. Is it just the weekend that it's just meant to be? Like we just have X amount of teams go down this weekend? I mean,
yeah, no one saw this one coming, and I had Oklahoma to beat Kansas, so this could be my one loss for the week.
Why couldn't it have been Texas Tech and Texas?
But there's still a couple minutes left, and there's only a touchdown difference.
I'll say this. So. Oh, we lost Jude. All right, so I'll say this. Kansas State, they have the Nebraska transfer, Adrian Martinez. He looks pretty good. So he's 21-34 for 234 with a touchdown and no interceptions. That's the big key right there is he hasn't turned over the ball yet. So with that said, they're almost to midfield right now. They just got a penalty. They're kind of driving back. I do think that Oklahoma is going to have to get a big stop here because we're down to the last 2 minutes and 43 seconds in the game. And this is going to be – it's a close one. So I just don't have a lot of faith in Oklahoma right now being down by this much. But we'll see what happens. I'm not giving you a third intro, Jude. You're just here.
I had a whole I just talked for 2 minutes and realized I wasn't on.
Yeah, so we're talking about Kansas State at Oklahoma, and Kansas State's leading, and it's late, and they have the ball.
That's what I would say. I would say that I think on Wednesday, Hunter and I both talked about Kansas State over the previous 2, 3, 4 years, playing Oklahoma tough and having their number. We thought they'd be a close game. We did not. I don't think either of us predicted Kansas State to be winning. I thought it'd be close. I had no. I thought Oklahoma might be up 7 at this point, not down 7. Kansas State's playing great.
Yeah,
this one is a shocker.
Yeah, definitely a shocker. All right, so let's talk about. We already talked about number 5, Clemson, and they look pretty good today. their defense still looks so good. But let's say this: until we see more games, let's just chalk it up that Wake Forest has one of the top offenses in college football, and we just saw one heck of a football game today. So until Clemson proves us otherwise, I think that they just played a definite high-powered offense, and they went toe-to-toe with an offense that could put most teams away in college football today. So
Raging Cajun is pointing out that LSU shut out New Mexico today. Christian is saying, "Boo, Trojans." I know he doesn't like the Trojans.
You'd have a tough time. You'd have a tough time betting against the Tigers going forward, but you would also have a tough time betting against Wake Forest. I think both teams just had a lot of good offensive talent, good game plan coming in. It's a shame the defenses didn't show up, but it was a great shootout. A lot of fireworks in this one. Again, like if they were to play tomorrow, Wake Forest might be coming out ahead. It was just a terrific game.
All right, let's get on. Let's try to knock out these final four here. Let's go on to number 4, Michigan hosting Maryland. Now, this is a close game for the first half, and it looked like Michigan just put the old tennis strap on a little bit tighter. They just went and ran over Maryland in the second half. Maryland, they came out strong, but they definitely couldn't finish. So, Lindsay, what do you think about Maryland keeping it interesting with number 4, Michigan?
It was very interesting because it was an evenly matched game throughout, even late into the fourth quarter. With Maryland putting up 14 points and Michigan putting up 17, there's only a 3-point difference in the last half of the game because the third quarter was scoreless for both teams. So when you look at a 27-34 score, it was a nail biter, and it came right down to it on this one. And the stats all show a very evenly matched game. There's really nothing you could look at except for maybe a couple of turnovers. Maryland threw 2 interceptions. Both teams lost a fumble, but that was the difference in the game because everything else was fairly close in this one.
Ooh. I can't tell you what I just saw. I think I just saw Adrian Martinez seal a win.
No.
Kansas State just got a huge first down conversion. Adrian Martinez ran about 45 yards, maybe 55 yards. It looks like Kansas State's going to knock off number 6, Oklahoma. We don't know that. The game's not over. Remember, the team that scores the most points always wins the game. So let's talk about number 3, Ohio State, making Wisconsin look even worse than what they probably are.
The Ohio State University.
The Ohio State is a pretty damn good football team. And I think no matter how it shakes down in the Final Four this year, I think we're going to have just an absolute – it's just going to be it's going to be just stellar games. These will be like NFL Super Bowl playoff quality games. You know what I mean? Like just
that level of excitement.
Football
and quality ball, yeah.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. Ohio State is so good. They have such a powerful offense. Their defense is really good. When you look at the top 4, you're like, man. Michigan, if you said on any of the year Michigan's like the 4th best team in the nation, you're like, who the hell are the other 3? They look pretty good too. So I think we're in for a treat as fans of college football. I think it's a good time. So let's go ahead and crack out. Let's talk about number 2, Alabama, handling their business against Vanderbilt. They have almost shut them out. They beat them 55-3. That's what you call a butt whooping, right? They took them out to the woodshed and gave them a whooping. So I'm sure that Bryce Young had some gaudy numbers. I didn't watch the game because, unfortunately, I wasn't able to.
25 for 36, 385 yards, 4 touchdowns.
And this is a Vanderbilt team that's played well this season. They have some decent wins, right? We're not talking like top 25 wins, but we're talking decent wins. This is not a Vanderbilt team that's just beat a bunch of Jimmies and Joes. They have beat real deal programs. So congratulations to Alabama today. Vanderbilt, sorry y'all took an unnecessary beating, but it is what it is. So
yeah,
this
one was not
Kansas
a surprise.
State,
Everyone
Oklahoma
knew this game. So everyone knew this game was going to come out this way. This was another one of my picks too, but I underestimated Alabama. I had them only scoring 42 points, but it have Vanderbilt held to a field goal. And when your total yards is 129 that Vanderbilt could come up with, only 14 of which are on the ground. It's a laugh from the beginning.
Update from the Kansas State-Oklahoma game. Kansas State has just run in the touchdown with under 2 minutes to go.
What?
The score right now is currently 41-27. Kansas State.
Wow.
There's no drum roll necessary. All right, so let's get on to numero uno, Georgia, who kind of looked a little ish today against Kent State. And I think it was one of those things where Georgia turned the ball over a little too much against Kent State and made it a little too cute. Lindsay, let me hear your thoughts on Georgia versus Kent State.
Well, yeah, they had 3 turnovers to Kent State's 1 turnover, and that's always going to – it's very difficult to recover from 3 turnovers. And luckily, they had the advantage in every other performance category in the game. But you can't lose the ball that many times and expect to win, although they still did and did handily. But I am confident they're going to spend a lot of time this week going over ball retention and ball handling skills, because it's inexcusable to lose the ball 3 times like that and still expect to win. But they did. And, they had a great running and passing game they brought with them. And Kent State, I don't think really anyone gave too much of a chance to anyway. They actually put up 22 points on the board. Whenever you do that, at least you got something going in your favor. And most of those points were actually during the first half. So it petered off later in the game as it went on, but they scored 13 points by the end of the first half, and then they lost their gas after that.
Drew, what do you think?
I think by the end of the night tomorrow, Georgia didn't play well enough to hold on to that number 1 ranking. I think they're going to flop with Alabama again. I think it'll be Alabama, Georgia number 2, Alabama 1, Georgia 2, because, like I said, you're trying to impress voters, and Georgia didn't today. The Stetson didn't even throw a touchdown. He had a pick. Turnovers killed them, and you're having too many turnovers against Kent State. What are you going to do against Tennessee and Florida and Alabama? I think they flip flop. I think the top 5 stays the top 5.
Let me ask you this question: do you think number 3 Ohio State leapfrogs both of them with their convincing dominant win over a game Big Ten opponent?
No, I don't think so. I think number 1 and number 2 are going to have to lose to not be 1 and 2. And when they play each other, as long as it's a good game, if they're still 1 and 2, even though one's going to have to lose that game, they're probably going to leave that game 1 and 2, as long as it's a good game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Alabama number 1 and Ohio State number 2. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, maybe Georgia. They put when you win a game by 20 points and people or whatever it was, and people tell you it was a stinker, man. That tells you how good the expectations are.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very high.
All right. Well, let's do this. Let's take a little time out and let's talk about something a little bit different right now. Let's go on and let's talk about salute to service academies. And last night, Air Force Academy, they put up just a tremendous game against Nevada. I think they won 40-something to 20. There it is, 48-20, and they look dominant. And so Nevada they don't have a ton of quality wins, but when you look at the service academies, you have to rank what they do so much differently because there's all kinds of things that fit into it. So it's good that we're talking about service academies. I have another guest for us, special guest coming on. Let's bring him on. Everybody welcome my son, Hunter. Perfect timing. Let's talk about our salute to service academies. Hunter, what do you think about last night's game, Air Force versus Nevada?
Air Force did exactly what I expected Air Force to do. They ran the ball all over Nevada. Nevada doesn't look very good. Air Force looks like the best service academy right now. They're running a triple option to, I might say, delicious satisfaction.
Whoa. A heck of an adjective.
All right,
Good
Jude,
triple
what do you think about the
options, too,
service
man.
academies? What do you think about what Air Force's dominant win over?
First and foremost, always thank everyone who served for their service. Or, I appreciate that service. I think this salute to the Service Academy segment is always a great segment to have. I 100% think that. They ran all over them, man. That's how Air Force plays. Great game. Congratulations, Air Force. Air Force looked great.
Lindsay, what are your thoughts on Air Force's dominant win versus Nevada?
I don't think there's much surprise there. I can't say I was that wasn't expected, and I love to see them doing that well. Especially for the kids that are entering service of the country, and as Jude said, thank you all very much for what you do for us. It means a lot. Not only are you willing to enter the service, but also and give us the level of entertainment and sportsmanship that you do on the field. So it's a ton of fun to watch you play every week. We look forward to seeing more out of you, and I thought it was a great win.
When you run the ball the way Air Force does, you expect them to dominate time of possession. But, man, can you believe they had the ball for 44 minutes compared to 16 minutes for Nevada? That's basically, 1 minute shy of having the ball for 3 complete quarters.
Yeah.
Well, you definitely can have a dominant game whenever you do something like that. All right, let's talk about that other service academy that played today. Army was off today. They were prepping for the next week's game. Let's talk about the Navy Midshipmen versus East Carolina Pirates. So the Pirates lost to the Navy today. Congratulations to the Navy with a good overtime victory. Let's just go right to the horse's mouth. Hunter, tell me why Navy beat East Carolina.
Navy made less mistakes. That's almost always like the story with the midshipman game right now, is that Navy, when they don't make a bunch of mistakes, they win. But also, I'll be honest, I only watched like the back half of this game. Navy just played really hard, and they caught an East Carolina team lacking. East Carolina just didn't do what they needed to do, and Navy defensively won them. Their defense won them the game. Their offense wasn't great, but it did enough, and the defense did a lot.
Lizzie, what do you think about today's
penalties
game?
Because Navy only committed.
I know where he's going.
One penalty for 5 yards.
One
right?
penalty.
You're not giving away
yards.
You're pretty. That's it. You're being real stingy with that, and good for them, because a lot of times the yards that you give up in penalties make a huge difference in the game. If you look back to week 1 against the Alabama UT game, Alabama gave up 100 yards to UT and almost lost that game. It's a miracle that they hung on like they did. And a game like today, where Navy wins by a field goal, those penalty yards could have been all the difference.
Yep.
So, Jude, what are your thoughts today?
Going back
Navy's
to like what Hunter and Lindsay were talking about. Hunter said that they made less mistakes, and Lindsay said they had 1 penalty. They had 1 turnover versus 2 for East Carolina. Man, the time of possession going. Another one, man. They had the ball for 37 minutes. That's a ton of possession time. When you hold on to the ball, the other team can't score. As long as you got the ball, and especially if you're not making mistakes. So, total yards was actually pretty close, 341 to 370, and East Carolina actually led there. But return yards, that was a big thing. I think Navy had a big return in that game, because they had 52 return yards to only 4 for East Carolina. So.
Yeah, and I talked about how sorry.
Check it out. We have a new watcher, number 1 Buckeye, right here.
Yes, I'm commenting. I'm commenting.
He's having a good day.
Yep. So that's our salute to Service Academies today. Excellent day, because we all kind of picked against Navy except for Hunter, and I'm glad to see they came to play for Coach Ken. Coach Ken's he's a heck of a good guy, and you couldn't ask for a better role model for some young people than Coach Ken. So it was good to see Navy pull off the victory today, and it was also good to see Air Force pull off a really good victory yesterday. So I think the race for the Commanders Cup is going to be a lot closer than what probably we're thinking. I think Navy's going to be game in any situation. They may not do well against the top 25, but they're going to do well against respective teams. So going forward, I think that Navy will be fine. All right, let's get into something kind of fun. Let's get into our Pretenders and Contenders segment here. And let's talk about our contenders and our pretenders. And let's go look and see how Jude fared. So currently, Jude's contenders were Oregon versus Wisconsin, Georgia versus Kent State, and I can't remember what your other one was. Maybe USC versus Oregon State. So, how are we doing right now, Jude? Currently, Oregon State is leading USC. We have Kent State hung in there with Georgia, and Oregon dominated Wisconsin by handling. So Oregon's a contender. Georgia, they're a contender.
Ohio State,
Wisconsin.
Ohio State. Oh, I'm sorry. Ohio State. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Ohio State versus Wisconsin. Ohio State is dominant. They look like a dominant team. Georgia looked like a dominant team. How's USC doing right now, Jude? Shall we check?
It's too soon.
Down 7-3. The second half just started. We had the ball first. Did nothing with it.
All right. So we're doing pretty good. All right. So
he said
pretenders.
He said so we're doing pretty good.
All right. So let's go to Lindsay's contenders. Lindsay, man, you better be glad that your contenders are not part of your picks, because you had Oklahoma winning today 56-10, and I'm going to tell you right now, they're not doing too good.
Hey, no one's perfect. I'm allowed one loss a week, aren't I?
You could have had two.
You can't be Lindsay the Greek if you lose.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming. No one saw that one coming, though, in my defense, if I have one. Alabama and Oregon were the Alabama and Oregon that I was hoping would show up. Oregon did not disappoint. I thought Bo Nix is doing another outstanding job, and he really takes the whole team on his shoulders, and it's terrific watching him.
I'll say
and his
this:
team play.
You had Vanderbilt's scores picked right. You just undershot Alabama a little bit. So I don't know how you do this, but we're going to talk about this in the back streams now. And then your pretenders. Let's get to our pretenders here. Everybody gets a chance to be great once. And Jude had Oregon as a pretender versus Washington State, and that was looking like a pretty good pick. He had Clemson versus Wake Forest. Now, once again, we need to see what Wake Forest turns into throughout the season. Are they just a good team? Are they just a high-powered offense? Or are they a pretty good team? I think Clemson, we need to see more. And he nailed Oklahoma, saying Oklahoma was a pretender. So that was a good job there. All right, let's get on to Lindsay's pretenders. So Lindsay says that BYU is a straight pretender, and they're going to lose to Wyoming. Now, the funny thing is currently they are losing to Wyoming. So we have our pretenders and contenders segment. Then we have he has Miami losing to Middle Tennessee. How the hell did you pick this?
How'd that game turn out?
How did you get this lucky?
Is it lucky?
And then, of course, he had Texas Tech UT. Anyways, we're not going to talk about that one.
No. Don't gloss over that one.
No.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
What? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm going to do something, and we're just going to pull Lindsay off the stream right there. See? No more necessary. We don't need to hear it. I'm kidding. I'm bringing it back. I kid because I can.
Hey, my kid wants to show you guys something.
Wasn't it 5-3?
All right, hold on. Jude's got the floor. I'm a big.
My kid wants to. A good friend of the family gave my kid a birthday present. His birthday's Monday, but he wants to show him what he got. He wants to show you guys what he got. He gave him a tortoise.
It's like Texas offense.
Oh man, that's a cool gift.
Yeah, it is.
Very nice.
Get it.
Hey, let's wish Surfer Dude a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Surfer Dude.
Happy birthday, Surfer Dude.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Surfer Dude.
All right. Well, we're not going to sing because we're definitely not singers.
Oh, number one Buckeye's throwing it down, saying USC is a pretender. They're not looking good. Jude. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We're not doing it.
I promise you're not going to be looking forward to 2023 or 2024 when USC does get to the Big Ten and we have a few recruiting years under Lincoln Riley's belt.
Planting the flag. He's planting the flag. I like
Thank you, Ranger. Thank you.
All right, Hunter, let's talk about it. Soon to be not number 23 or 22 Texas goes down to Texas Tech. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. It's definitely unfortunate if you're a Texas fan, but from the landscape of today's football games, I don't think you can chalk it up as too big of a deal. I think you're still there because a lot of good teams just lost today. Yeah, number 6, Oklahoma just lost to a team that lost to Tulane. Okay.
Yeah, the problem, in my opinion, with this game at the outset right now, is that the offense became too predictable in the second half for Texas. Right, there are 2 or 3 possessions that they got after scoring the touchdown to go up by 14. It was basically, and this isn't 100%, so don't fact check me, but I believe it was run, pass, and then it was like Hudson Card making some stuff happen and run, pass. And Texas Tech knew it. Joey McGuire had those guys ready, had them in the film room ready for that exact sequence. And Steve Sarkisian's a really good play caller. He needs to go and look at that and go, I need to be different. Run, or pass. Don't just be, all right, run. Don't be Marty Ball. You're not good enough to be Marty Ball right now. I love Marty Ball, but you're not good enough to do it.
Can you elaborate and tell everybody what Marty Ball is?
Run on first down, run on second down, pass on third down, punt on fourth down.
But tell them who Marty is.
Marty Schottenheimer is, in my opinion, a Hall of Fame coach, and he generated some of the best rushing offenses in NFL history.
Would you say he's the greatest coach that never won a Super Bowl?
Him and Bud Grant tied.
Him and Bud Grant. All right.
Marty Schottenheimer was a great coach.
Lindsay, what are your thoughts on
I'm
fading out, guys. I'm sorry. There's something wrong with my internet.
I'm back. I think I'm back like Texas isn't.
Oh.
All right, I'm here. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can anybody hear Cass?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, sorry for the service interruption. I don't know what's going on with our internet. If you live in the Austin metropolitan area, you have Spectrum internet, and it sucks. Well, I'm there with you.
Put a phone call on them. Tell them they stink.
Well, all right. So let's take a little time out right now. Let's talk about something. Let's talk about our 500 subscriber giveaway. Now, we've said that when we get to 500 subs, we're gonna get, everybody. The winner of the contest is gonna win 2 shirts of their sizing, so they can look cool as I do in their wide right CFB shirt. They're gonna get a football signed by all of the wide right CFB panelists, and they're gonna get not a $50 gift card, but a $100 gift card to Buffalo Wild Wings. So, with that said, what you have to do is you have to go and you have to subscribe to the channel. Okay? You have to go and get somebody to subscribe to the channel as well. We need to get to 500 because if we get to 499 and it's after the Heisman trophy's announced, 499 isn't 500. It's got to be 500. So everybody take note. Tell a friend. Get your parents involved. Make burner accounts. Do whatever it takes to get wide right CFB to 500 subs by the night that the Heisman Trophy's announced. What we'll do is we'll make a video the morning of the Heisman Trophy. You have to watch that video. We're gonna go and take a comment generator or whatever they pick off that. You got to leave a comment and a like. We're gonna go and take those comments and those likes, put them in this randomizer. It's going to draw out a name. The winner has to be present whenever we announce that night. So we're going to go live after the Heisman Trophy winner. We'll announce it. And I don't care where you live. We'll send it to you. Well, unless you live on the moon or something, then it'll be kind of hard to ship it to you. Anyways, so subscribe, please, and thank you.
Let me put it in perspective. If you go and make like 450 burner accounts, your odds of winning are really good. And when you do win, you're going to get $100 worth of buffalo wings and a football that's worth the cost of the football.
Maybe less.
Very nice. Thank you for putting it that way.
Yeah, I'm always here to help.
So
it
was a good week in college football. We have there's definitely, I think there's going to be some hot seat news tomorrow into this week. I think we'll probably see some teams move on from their coaches this week. Let's talk about this a little bit more, then we'll talk about some non-top 25 teams, and then we'll go ahead and wrap the show. But I think Georgia Tech's probably going to move on for their coach today. They're entering into an off week this week. They lost to UCF 27-10. The hot seat has never been hotter for Jeff Collins. I think Jeff Collins gets the axe tonight. I think the way the landscape of college football is currently, with the amount of people that have been fired already, you're in the sweepstakes to try to get the best coach you can. So you have to move on from your current coach right now. I think Jeff Collins gets the axe, but I don't think he's the only one that gets the axe this week. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe an assistant gets canned this week or another head coach. Hunter, your thoughts? Any notable coaching fires this week other than Jeff Collins?
Well, here on the official fire spav section of the world, Jake Spavital gets to keep the job for another week. So that's a coach I want to have fired. I like Jake Spavital as a person, but it just hasn't worked out at Texas State so far. But coaches that could be fired, Brian Harsin and Elijah Drinkowitz. The Missouri and Auburn Tigers played one of the worst games of football I've ever subjected myself to watching. And both those coaches should be fired for that atrocity on the field.
Strong.
And also, Brian Harsin just hasn't done it at Auburn. And Auburn doesn't want him anymore. It feels like he's done. Elijah Drinkwitz hasn't done it at Missouri, and they should move on from him.
Lindsay, what are your thoughts? Any coaches?
I think that this week we're going to see a work stoppage from the Florida International Cheerleaders. Their team lost 73-0 to Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. And when you get shut out like that, you got nothing to cheer for. They're not even going to show up next week. That's
the game's over. Ooh, the ass whooping's over.
All right, Jude, do you have any other coaches you can think of that might not be employed? Let's say this time next week.
I think by the administration, this guy's probably safe, but going with the passionate fans, of the Hook'em Horns or whatever, I think Steve Sarkisian, he blew his wad in that close loss to Alabama, and they're not looking good since. So Steve Sarkisian better start winning some games.
Agreed.
Well, that's been the story with UT football for years, and they've been bringing in more. It's a coaching carousel there, unfortunately, and they're just not able to land somebody that can bring them the wins they need.
I'm going to bring up another name, and maybe a place that you're not really thinking of. But last night I watched Boise State underperform against UTEP, and Coach Andy Avalos, I'm sorry, bud, but you should be fired too, because that was not good football that was played last night.
I got one more team.
Boise State. When you think of Boise State, you think of somebody that can upset top teams and win their division. And we're talking about a team that is not good. They underperformed, and they looked very, very, very bad. All right, Hunter, what's your last team?
Carl Durrell and the Colorado Buffaloes. They should have fired Carl Durrell last year, and this year it's just more of the same. That team is not good. They've not improved in any section. Like, you look at even Jeff Collins looks like a significantly better coach than Carl Durrell. That Colorado team looks awful. Just terrible.
All right, I'm going to say this. If you're a fan of the Colorado Buffaloes, what you need to invest in is a paper bag. You put that over your head, that way you don't have to see the people laughing at you. All right. So now that we've gone and we've bashed on some teams and their coaches, let's go to the comments for a few comments. Let's see what we have here. Jude and number one Buckeye are going back and forth just a little bit. we'll let that go. So Raging Cajun says it's going to cost more to shift that football around so all y'all can sign it than the football. Well, that's a very true statement, Raging. But you know what?
Pretty true.
Like I said, we're here for fun. This is all about having fun. I think it's something fun to pass on to another fan of ours or football in general. So, anyways, we're going to send that to y'all, and it doesn't matter what it costs. So we're just going to make it happen. Pat Paulson says, don't hold back, Hunter. Let us know how you really feel. Well, you don't really want to know how you don't want to hear that. We'll have to change the title on here. Christian will have to hang up. You won't be able to watch anymore. And
How I feel about Jake Spavital?
No, yeah, that or anything else, son. Well, anyways, it's been a pretty good show, but let's finish it off. Let's talk about some other stuff real quick. Let's talk about the bottom of the barrel, which is actually at the top of the barrel now. Let's go. Let's start with the Battle of Blue Bloods in college basketball. Kansas and Duke play today. Kansas scores 35 points, and they look like a contender. What am I? I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth. We have an undefeated Kansas team who will be ranked in the top 25 next week. No doubt about it. Will be ranked in the top 25. Played a really decent Duke team. Jude, what do you think about Duke versus Kansas? What was your?
I agree with you. They played a good fun football game. Just to go on par with the rest of the week. And if Kansas is not cracked, the top 24, 25 this week, I'll be very disappointed. We talked about this on Wednesday. The Blue Bloods, the college Blue Bloods, and that's exactly what it was. Now unfortunately, these two teams are not. Even though there are college Blue Bloods, their football teams aren't on par with like North Carolina and Kentucky, who have some solid football teams over the years. But if we can get them to start playing the way North Carolina and Kentucky are, man, their conferences will be a lot better for it.
All right, let's talk about another. Oh, I'm sorry, I cut Lindsay off here. Lindsay, I know you have something itching nice to say about Kansas.
I'm very interested to see what they continue to do. I've been impressed with them so far. They've defied some expectations, and I like when that happens because it gives you something to keep an eye on, and it gives you something to anticipate week to week. So I really enjoy what they're doing, and I'll watch them enthusiastically.
Hunter, hit me with some knowledge on Kansas's big win versus Duke.
So I predicted that Duke's run fits would give Kansas fits. And at first it looked that way, but credit to Lance Leipold, credit to Jalen Daniels. They overcame them. They beat the run fits. Their passing game worked. And Kansas really they took the lead, never looked back. And they're a team that, boy, I would not want to play. Any team in the Big 12 right now should be scared of Kansas. Even Oklahoma, even Kansas State, even Baylor, you should be scared to play Kansas, and especially play them in Lawrence because it's going to get colder, and that running offense is going to hit harder, and that passing offense is only going to get better. And Jalen Daniels, if Kansas somehow wins the Big 12 this year, which looks like it's very possible, he could win. He could be in New York. That's how good Jalen Daniels looks.
All right, let's talk about an upset of the day. Now, this isn't going to really be a top-tier upset, but let's talk about it anyways. James Madison goes to Boone County, North Carolina. Is it Boone County, North Carolina? I think it's Boone County, North Carolina, and upsets the Appalachian State Mountaineers. I think the score was 32-28. Anytime a team from the Sun Belt gets a big W, we got to talk about it, even though it was against another
Sun Belt team.
All right, so Sun Belt Hunter, tell me what's going on here.
James Madison came back and won. Appalachian State's been playing with magic a little bit too much these last few weeks, and it finally, burnt them. App State's a good team, but JMU may just be an even better team. We'll really get a temperature check on how good JMU is because App State, I think, could be on a bit of a letdown. They've had 2 crazy wins, another crazy game against North Carolina. Eventually, the magic runs out. So we'll see how good JMU is when they come to San Marcos and play the Texas State Bobcats for a little bit of Fun Belt action. They actually that game may be in James Madison, I think it's in Virginia. I don't know where it is. That's on me. But we'll see how good they are next week for sure.
Cool, Jude. I know you're always down for an upset. What do you think about JMU versus App State today?
I was surprised. I mean, App State, man, they had that basketball game against North Carolina. You know, I think it was like 63-61. Then they beat a top 5 Texas A&M team. I mean, it was just crazy. The Hail Mary, their season is just what a crazy season, man. I think they had like a 28-3 lead going in that second half, and it's just wow. It had to be like Hunter said, man. That letdown, man. Wow. I mean, they're emotionally drained. I mean, the season just got to be getting to these kids, man. It's a fun team to watch, that's for sure.
Lindsay, what do you think about James Madison upsetting App State today?
It's not surprising when you see how the game unfolded. The fact that all of Appalachian's scoring happened in the second quarter, and that was it. They were shut out for the rest of the game. Shows that they just didn't have the offensive potency that they really needed to pull this one off. And, you know, when you break down the stats, it wasn't as it wasn't a lopsided game, but still, when every category is in favor of JMU, it's not going to go your way. And I think one of the biggest tales of how the day went today was, like fourth down efficiency, for example. I see a lot of teams now stretching their fourth down yardage plays, and I like to see that. But App State just couldn't do it at all on fourth down. And meanwhile, JMU is they're batting 500 when it comes to fourth down conversion. So it's going to mean they're going to keep the ball longer. They're going to move the ball downfield more, and the game's just going to go in your favor every time you can do that over your opponent. And today was that case. Now maybe App State didn't have what it took game plan wise to overcome that. That's a coaching issue they're going to have to look at. But we'll see if this is the bloom off the rose right now, or is this just a bump in the road? We don't know yet.
All right, so let's go on to another game. I always like a game that's got a good name. Like rivalry week. We always get like the Apple Cup or the Red River Shootout or the Holy War. We got another good rivalry game today. We had SMU play TCU. It's the game for the Iron Skillet. And today, SMU came a little short against TCU. The game was 42-34. It's they're basically crosstown rivals. If you're familiar with the Dallas-Fort Worth area, they literally SMU's in Dallas, TCU's in Fort Worth. They're separated by less than 20 miles. It's a big deal if you live in the Metroplex. Since Hunter probably knows more about this game than any human should, Hunter, give us some updates, some highlights of the game, or some highlights of the Iron Skillet.
I unfortunately did not catch this game. That's on me. I love me some terrible Texas area football, so I missed it. I do know that both these teams run a run-and-shoot offense, so I'm assuming there's probably a lot of passing yards, though knowing Sonny Dykes, he does what it takes to win. TCU, undefeated. TCU could be a really good team to look out for in the Big 12. We don't know. That's another team that's won the games they need to win, and I like the way they're playing. I like the way they're winning. SMU has had TCU's number the last couple of years in the Iron Skillet game, and Sonny Dykes comes out and he beats his old team. No love lost there for Rhett Lashley, his former OC, but I think they played a good game. Tanner Mordecai probably a pretty good quarterback. Probably came a little bit short, and TCU's winning the games they need to win. Their athletes are just being better, and that's all you need.
Lizzie, what do you think about the Iron Skillet game? You're a Texan by proxy.
Yeah, this one was a shootout through the air for sure. As Hunter said, 296 passing yards for TCU and 372 passing yards for the Mustangs. Total, there was a ton of total yards in the whole game. 487 from TCU, and SMU had 476 total yards. So it was a whole lot of offense today. And again, as we're talking about fourth down efficiency, SMU had it all over TCU, and yet they were still on the losing end of this one. But they converted 4 out of 4 fourth down conversions, which I thought was pretty impressive. But ultimately, it comes down to what you do with the ball while you have it, and TCU was able to do that much more with it than SMU was.
Very nice.
Also,
right.
SMU had 2 turnovers.
Jude, what are your thoughts on TCU versus SMU?
I didn't get to catch that game, but I'm looking over the stats right now. It looked like it was a pretty close game on the scoreboard and in the stats. I think the turnovers had to be what did them in because total yards 487, 476, time of possession 31-18 to 28-42, first downs 27-21. SMU was right there in all of these stats, hanging with them. So turnovers had to be what did them in.
All right, well, let's go to the comments real quick. And I think number one Buckeye brings up a very, very good subject. I think Hunter's going to agree with them on at least one of the teams. I mean, number one Buckeye says Illinois and Minnesota are going to be names talked about in the coming weeks. Also, both underrated. Hunter, I know you're a big row the boat fan. So
Row the boat.
What's so special about Minnesota, and what do they do so well that makes them so great?
One name, Mo Ibrahim. He is right now, by the numbers, the best running back in college football. I like Bijan Robinson a lot, but right now there's one guy that's winning football games at the running back position for his team, and that is Mo Ibrahim. Minnesota had dumpstered Michigan State, who was supposed to be this really good team this year, and Minnesota didn't just beat them through the air. They beat them on the ground. They punched them in the mouth. They did it some more, and they basically just punched them towards a hole where Michigan State's head used to be. And PJ Flex got that team rolling. And Minnesota, when they're rolling and they're rowing, they're going to row that boat over a lot of teams. They could win the Big Ten West. And I think they actually will this year.
I like how you put that caveat, West. All right, let's talk about Illinois. I don't really know a lot about Illinois. I know they beat Chattanooga on Thursday night, 31-0. They could be. I'm just not sure. Time will tell. I'll have to get a little more involved. So, like Raging said, another big shout out today to the LSU Tigers. They go and they blank New Mexico 38-0. That's one of those games where you just handle your business. Troy defeats Marshall 16-7. And remember, Marshall had a big win a couple weeks ago, and they just haven't looked the same since. Shout out to Hunters, mighty Texas State Bobcats, for their big win over Houston Christian, 34-0.
Eat 'em up, Cats.
Yeah. And then we'll swing over to the state of Mississippi, where Southern Miss, the home of the welfare stealing Brett Favre's. They got a big win today against Tulane.
Stole it from them.
Can I get on my pulpit real quick, guys? Can I get on my pulpit?
Go right ahead.
So, talk about like the most scumbag move of all time. You go and you take money, welfare money, from one of the poor states in the union to go build a stadium or a library at your college?
Volleyball complex.
Volleyball complex. You know what? We're going to go ahead and give that a thumbs down. Everybody, give him a thumbs down. You know what?
Come on, Lindsay. Really give us a thumbs down.
You got to give a thumbs down.
Yeah.
Thumbs down to Brett Favre. Look, I had more respect for you. You texted a picture of your dork to one of the staffers.
Yes! Sorry.
Did USC just score?
Wow.
Sorry.
I had to watch a game. We're going to have to go watch a game with Junior at some point.
Sorry, guys. Woo!
No, don't be sorry. That's what's so fun about this. All right, let's run down a few more scores. We had Liberty beat Akron 21-12. Cal beat Arizona 49-31. That's a lot of points for any game, if you ask me. Sacramento State gets a big W. Big W versus
bad football. I love
Colorado State. Man, and I really like Jay Norvell. I really think Jay Norvell's a good coach. That is not what you want to see. Memphis comes away and gets a big win against North Texas. And North Texas is a good team. That is a good football team. So Memphis has got to be a pretty good football team as well. You got UCF probably sent Jeff Collins to his last game check as a head coach at Georgia Tech. UTSA bounces back this week, gets a big win against Texas Southern, which they should because Texas Southern is not a very good team. San Diego State gets just a win versus Toledo. Cincinnati, big win against Indiana. They won 45-24. Once again, Minnesota.
That's an impressive win.
Yeah. And Minnesota absolutely drubbed Michigan State. So that means that Minnesota is no joke, like what we said. Then let's move on. Let's talk about a few more games, and then we're going to get to the last game of the day, and then we'll kind of wrap it up after that. But let's see Jeff Satterfield or Scott Satterfield. He gets to keep his job for one more week. They beat South Florida 41-3. UCLA dominates Colorado 45-17. Temple beats University of Massachusetts 28-0. The Minutemen, y'all aren't going to win that many games. Just be happy that you'll get to play college football. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's one of those schools.
Mississippi State gets the big W against Bowling Green, 45-14. Bowling Green has possibly the ugliest uniforms in college football. And if you have a better ugly college football uniform, please send it to me. But you don't go and say, if you're the Ohio State fan, send me Michigan's uniform. Michigan's uniform is a classic uniform. It's not the ugliest I've ever seen. It's not far. If you want to send me one of Oregon's plethora of uniforms, send me a picture of Oregon's plethora of uniforms, right? If you want to send me South Carolina, oh, God. They had to tie pork chops around the players' necks so dogs will play with them, all right? That's all I'm saying.
And no photoshopping a college team's logo over the Seahawks pistachio uniforms and sending it in. It's cheating.
Have you seen Baylor's yellow uniforms? Those things are terrible, too.
All right. Send me your worst college uniform. You can send it to us on Instagram at WideRightCFB. You can drop it in the comments over here at YouTube's. You can email it to us at widerightcfb@gmail.com. You can send it to us on TikTok. I guess I don't know how TikTok works, so I'm not going to lie. Hey, look. All right. If I'm accused of one thing, it's like I don't know how social media works. I'm fine by that. You know what I mean? So I'm more concerned with just, getting through the day. But, all right, let's get down to our last game of the day. Drum roll from the panel, please. Drum roll. Everybody give me a drum roll. Drum roll. We have the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame versus North Carolina. And wow, was this just not good for North Carolina. They looked very bad. Notre Dame gets to win.
Notre Dame owns Mac Brown.
And Notre Dame looked like a top 5 team beating on a field filler team. It was not even close. That 32 points, that was some late stuff. The quarterback from North Carolina looked very, very suspect from first quarter on. Lindsay, what's your thoughts on this game?
I just tried to bring it up and I can't find it. Stand by. Go to Jude.
It's that bad. Jude, I know you didn't watch this game at all. Let's talk about Notre Dame and North Carolina.
I was just surprised that Notre Dame hasn't been doing anything this year. And I actually kind of thought North Carolina was going to dominate them. But that figures, how my picks have been going this
All right, America, if you're watching Jude's picks, whatever Jude picks, go with the opposite. Go with the opposite.
Hey, we got 9 people watching. I mean, if the 9 people watching wanted, I know a couple of them are probably us, but anybody who's not watching, I know we got Pat Paulson, #1 Buckeye fan, Schmitty, and Raging Cajun. But if there's 5 more people in there watching, put something in the chat, man. Let us know who you are so we can throw you guys a shout out.
Yep, we're hitting our 2-minute warning, folks. 2 minutes. 2-minute warning. All right. Is there anything we haven't covered in the last 90 minutes that we need to cover in the last 2 minutes? Start with Lindsay.
I don't think so. We went around the horn pretty good on this one. I thought we had some pretty decent analysis. I think between the 4 of us, we all got in some good game watching this week, and it's fun to make our predictions and see how it all shakes out.
Hunter, what do you think? 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes. Give me a synopsis. Can you think of anything?
I'm going to worry about the marquee game for me, and that is Navy over East Carolina. I'm just kidding. Texas needs to fire Pete Kwiatkowski, I think, and make Gary Patterson defensive coordinator. And Steve Sarkisian needs to have some more inventive play calling. And you cannot lose Texas Tech like that. But with everybody losing, hey, maybe it's just a bump in the road.
All right. Jude, Santa Cruz, 2-minute warning. Give me something we need to know for maybe that we missed this week or we need to know for the upcoming show.
Let's talk about this time next year. Who's going to be coaching Auburn? Who's going to be coaching Arizona State? Who's going to be coaching Georgia Tech? Who are the hot coordinators that are looking for spots?
Kendall Briles.
There you go. All right.
Yeah, he's one for sure.
What I want to see for Wednesday's episode, the panelists are going to debut their top 3 Heisman hopefuls They're pretenders and they're contenders. And then they're going to give us a dark horse for the Heisman Trophy. Give us our predictions for the week, and we will pick the game of the week. We'd like to thank everybody for joining us. I'm going to let everybody send it out here. We'll go solo layout on Hunter first. Hunter, say your goodbyes here. Tell the fans what
Eat
they
them
need
up,
to
Cats. Go Navy, beat Army.
hear. All right. Cool. Jude Santa Cruz, can you give us something to
Hey.
home with?
College football, best time of the year. And just remember, SEC fans, you cannot spell SEC without S and C. Fight on.
Lindsey Coyle.
Thanks for
Give me
everyone in
some
the chat for showing up and chiming in, and I appreciate the comments and the trash talk. It's a lot of fun to get together after the week and see how all our predictions turned out, to see what the scores actually were, and to see what new developments there are, because there's always something interesting going on. So thanks for tuning in. Please tell your friends, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel.
All right, well, that's going to wrap things up this week. I'd like to thank everybody for joining in, all our new subscribers, all the people that joined in on the chat. And remember, the team that scores the most points always wins the game. Thanks for watching.